Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Just had to double check headset. Went out for a bit of a drive, bought a few more things. Am I the only person who feels very nervous when they drive down the freeway to go to a very large city? Like 5 lanes of traffic, semi-trucks everywhere. I don't like that. That being said, did buy a few more gifts for my mother and my son. Heck, for my son I got him, well, I won't tell you guys all the gifts I got for people, but for one of the gifts I got for my son is a really large Eevee plushie. It's like the size... It's like an adult pillow, like, you know, used for your head when you go to sleep. I'm just saying, it's really soft and floofy, and it's really, really plushy and soft. It's like, oh, that's cool. Heck, I was considering buying a second one just for myself, but maybe in the future. Was considering getting some retro game console things for my mother, but decided against that. Basically some things that would have a screen that you could plug an NES cartridge into, but I got like a little board game sort of thing. It's called Upwards. It's kind of like Scrabble, but better. Anyway, as you guys can... Right. This is volume 10 of the Higurashi games that I did. But... we're here for this. Nope, that's a video. Nope, skip. I don't even know what's currently playing. This? Okay, we're just gonna listen to music from the Higurashi soundtrack while I struggle opening a box. Ow! Somehow I hurt my hand. Ow! It doesn't even make sense. Ow. Why does existence hurt me? Anyway, you guys see the title. You got a thing, the Carl Jung, or Jung, psychology test. Explore your inner psychology. This is so fucking much reading. It's a good thing we have so much fucking music. Okay, so it's a small... I was gonna say book, but it's like a small fucking encyclopedia. And then there's these... I'm gonna say like 1,000 fucking flashcards. Where does it... How many do we have? Just label somewhere? With... Okay. A 128-page book. And 52 cards. Okay, so 52 cards and a 128-page book. The Carl Jung psychology test. Discover who you really are with this fascinating personality test. I don't know if this is... I think it's something Myers-Briggs. There's like 16 core personality things that people could be. I think if I remember right, I'm INFJ. That's... I don't really remember what that stands for, but... It's like the same personality type as, say, Shinji Ikari from Evangelion, or Chrono Gorgon from Soul Eater. They're animes. If you're not familiar with anime, then how did you find me? But I don't even remember if I did my intro or not. I don't know. Heck. Not even sure, like if random internet quizzes can be trusted, Apparently I have extreme autism and ADHD and severe depression. Maybe borderline personality disorder, I don't know. I forget what Naruto ninja I am. Apparently I'm Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog, if I remember right. Don't know. Discover who you really are with this fascinating personality test. Carl Jung's theories on psychology have shaped our understanding of personality. This brilliant box kit contains an entertaining and accessible guide to Jung's views on personality psychology, as well as a deck of cards, which includes test cards for you to try on your own and with friends. It'd be nice if I had those. Then again, I don't remember what a hug feels like. How about you guys? Do any of you remember what a hug or a compliment feels like? Or, you know, feeling, I don't know, wanted and not worthless and not disgusting? But hey! In case anyone ever wondered, like, why does Lunar have trouble, I guess, dating or meeting people? The answer is, 1, I'm extremely antisocial. 2, I don't know, I'm an eldritch horror. I look like the Dragon Ball Z fusion of Jack Nicholson and Tim Curry if they were a Fallout ghoul. Heck, I feel like Chrono Trigger owes me money. Because, you know, I should get paid for my role as fucking Lavos. Heck, Umaneko I've been doing a bit recently. I would say my personality is a fusion of Maria and Battler. Heck, like 11 fusions here of anime characters. Heck, look at my profile picture. Fusion number 1, Yusuke Urameshi and Sailor Moon. My personality is a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Yusuke Urameshi and Sailor Moon. Fusion number 2, again, do a perfect combination of the personalities of Astolfo and Jack Hanma. Or Fusion 3, Chrono Gorgon from Soul Eater and Vash Stampede. Fusion 4, Stein from Soul Eater and Nagisa from Assassination Classroom. Fusion 5, Chip the Cable Guy, Jim Carrey with Ernest Jim Varney. Fusion 6, Vegeta and the 2003 Yota Gear XX Testament. Fusion 7, Goku and Tsukasa from Dot X Sign. Fusion 8, Shinji Ikari from Evangelion and Zealous Metallium from the Slayers. By the way, Zealous Metallium is featured in the banner on my channel page. Fusion 9, Lichtbach Rihito from Plunderer and Takumi Nishijo from Chaos Head Noah. Fusion 10, Date from AI The Somnium Files and Mikon Sumiki from Danganronpa 2. And Fusion 11, Mega Man Volnut from Mega Man Legends. And Team 4 Stars, Alucard. Okay, let's switch songs. Hey, it's the thing that we came into. Why is it called Kneecap? I don't remember. I don't care enough to remember. Carl Jung was one of the most important psychologists of the modern era, and his ideas from cognitive functions to archetypes lie at the core of our current understanding of personality. In this fascinating guide, Lily Yuan shows you the differences between introversion, extroversion, thinking and feeling, sensing and judging, and much, much more. Learn how personality tests work and how to get most out of them. Probably shouldn't do this on lack of sleep. Technically, I should already be asleep at the time being. Hey, but, you know, how I do my day off is my call. But yeah, I'll say this. Really would be nice to actually have, I don't know, hugs and self-esteem, so. But, you know, I feel like I'm asking too much there. Get the most out of the history behind personality psychology. There are also practical tips showing you how the theory can apply to real-world situations, from relationships to work to healthy living. Whatever your personality, this guide will give you everything you need to harness the power of personality types to live your best life. Carl Jung, psychology test. Explore your inner psychology. It's a picture of a bear in here for some reason. Introduction to personality psychology. Why do some people pair together so well, like peanut butter to jelly? Why do some conversations with people feel forced, almost like pulling teeth? Why do certain people work better as a team? How come certain personalities fare better as friends, and others have the potential for a romantic relationship? Who do we look up to and why? All in all, what makes you, you? That's where personality psychology enters the scene. To study personality is to study the many factors that influence how you think and feel. Through your unique biology and upbringing, how did your parents behave throughout your life? What was your environment like growing up? These are key questions personality psychologists ask. Note, this book uses the inclusive gender-neutral they when describing the 16 personality types, and throughout the text, Carl Jung is referred to as he throughout his biography and the text. Jung's personal quotes are all in italic. Okay. Why italic? Why not like Comic Sans or something? We're gonna bitch about fucking fonts. How is it that some people become instant friends and others never get on? Personality psychology holds the answer. Genetics helps determine our personality. Some people knew what they wanted to be when they grew up as a young child. Other people go through numerous career path changes to finally figure out their calling, or decide to exit the working life altogether and opt to travel in a van. Why do our lives all look so different from one another? Because our personalities influence our decisions in so many ways. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. We're more alike than different because we're approximately 99.9% identical in our genetic makeup. Did you know we actually share about 98.7% of our genetic makeup with chimpanzees and 44.1% with bananas, yes, the fruit. And look how incredibly different we behave. What does the remaining 0.1% account for? You guessed it, our personality. I don't think that's true, but whatever. Our personalities have a huge effect on our behavior and the decisions we make. In a nutshell, personality is the umbrella term for the traits, behaviors, and preferences of an individual that stays relatively consistent over the course of time. It's closely linked with different branches of psychology: social, biological, lack of caffeine, and developmental. To name a few, you may already be familiar with the terms introvert and extrovert. I'm definitely an introvert. Heck, my normal go-to response to anything that bothers me is become more introvert. What happens when people face extraordinary amounts of stress? I was just talking about that. I become more introverted, with occasional bursts of extroversion. But hey, I guess they can seem different from how they usually carry themselves. For example, someone who's more outspoken may seem uncharacteristically quiet after a stretch of challenging work, but after a while they revert to the normal, bubbly self. Someone who's usually organized may seem scattered and clumsy in the same circumstance. Another person who usually makes decisions with facts and numbers may follow the heart when the situation calls for it. So if you have a friend who's behaving differently than usual, it might be a good idea to check up on them and ask how they're doing. One of the quickest ways to figure out your own personality is to take an assessment or test. Heads up, there is one included in your handy-dandy deck of cards. Skip to the end of this chapter for a quick breakdown of how to properly go about taking the Jungian personality test. It's easy to get the hang of once you've gone through it a few times. Stress can lead to us acting in uncharacteristic ways. Okay, here's a picture of a dude. Francis Galton was one of the pioneers of personality psychology, coming up with a list of important personality traits. And here's a picture of him for some reason. A short history of personality psychology, way back in 1884. Back before anyone was fucking born. Though, interesting bit of tidbit. My mother's biological father was born in 1896. My mom is 65 now. And I am 38. Sir Francis Galton proposed the fundamental lexical hypothesis, a linguistic theory that says the personality traits most important and relevant to a group are eventually encoded into their language. Heck, the other thing to keep in mind is about 5 years before I was born, my mother is technically completely infertile since she was missing an ovary and a fallopian tube at that point after her second child. So, yeah, the remaining ovary and fallopian tube are up on opposite sides, not connected to each other. However, over time, they just moved on their own and decided to connect to each other because God and biology decided that for some reason I should exist. Don't be wrong, I'm grateful for that. I appreciate that, but there is nothing valuable or important about me whatsoever. Heck, I'm not even sure anyone actually cares I exist. But I really can't blame them either, so the important characteristics are more likely to be neatly packaged as a single word, such as extroverted. In 1913, Carl Jung entered the conversation and began writing his first paper on personality types, which was published as Psychological Types in German in 1921 and then in English in 1923. In 1919, he introduced the term archetype to the world in his paper Instinct and the Unconscious. Kind of makes me think of website TV tropes, which is such a massive amount of reading. And then, I already read that, we'll look more closely into his research on personality, and me burping, and archetypes further on in this book. The notion of personality entered mainstream around the 1930s with the issue of Quarterly Character and Personality in 1932. In 1936, psychologists Gordon Allport and Henry Odbert found almost 18,000 words in the dictionary that could describe someone's personality. From this list, they narrowed it down to 4,500 observable traits, which is still a huge number. This brings us to one of the most popular personality trait theories today, the Big Five-Factor Model, FFM. Okay, am I the only one who's kind of curious, like, what is this list of 18,000 words? What about that list of 4,500 words? Is that list written anywhere? That would be a long list, but do we have it? I could probably search it on Google. This brings us to one of the more popular personality theories today, the Big Five-Factor Model, or the FFM in parentheses, which has evolved over time. In 1946, everyone's like, why not come back to this after you went to sleep? No. We're doing this sleep deprived. Raymond Cattell used the model to generate 181 clusters of personality traits, which subsequently became the 16 personality factors model. This sounds like the Myers-Briggs thing, or is that something different? I don't know. In the 1960s, Air Force researchers Raymond Christiel and Ernest Tupes found 5 recurring factors. Finally, P.T. Costa and R.R. McCrae went on to polish the FFM through the 1980s and 1990s. Hey, that's kind of recent compared to everything else. The DISC, or the DISC, is another popular personality assessment and was developed by psychologist Dr. William Moulton Martson in 1920. It focuses on 4 main communication styles: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. The DISC assessment can help build stronger teams and enhance personal and professional relationships. It is most often used in corporate settings, but can also be valuable in personal development, educational, and therapy. Okay, let's see. So, dominance. I'm not a very dominant person. I'm not a very aggressive. I'm definitely not an alpha type personality person. So, heck, I bet a lot of people would probably describe my personality as bottom. So if there was a personality type that could be described as bottom, I guess that'd be me. Though my ear is itchy, so hold on. What can I say? I'm someone who would like a lot of affection and a lot of hugs, and just to feel safe. and to feel like, I don't know. Then again, my go-to feeling said, hey, everyone in the world hates me and wants me to die. So, obviously, kind of a facetious statement in terms of I understand that's not exactly reality, but it is a truthful statement of how I actually feel on an emotional level. Influence. I don't even know what that means in this circumstance. If it's charisma, I don't have that. Steadiness. Is that emotional stability? I mean, I can ignore my mental health. Does that count? I think that counts, right? I mean, I may not be... I can at least ignore my mental health, which then, if I'm pretending that my mental health doesn't exist, then that means I have good mental health. Conscientiousness. That means being polite. I tend to be overly polite to people. Unless myself. Like I'm always smiling and kind and cheerful and kind to other people. And I'm patient with other people. But I am such a fucking asshole to myself. If something goes wrong involving other people, I am patient with them. But something even goes the tiniest bit awry with myself, I start yelling at myself at the top of my lungs if I'm by myself. On a daily basis, I will have arguments with myself in my own bedroom, saying the most horrible things to myself. Then again, to be fair, most of my life has consisted of other people saying horrible things to me. So, probably some holdover there. Then again, I've probably been told to go fucking kill myself a million times over the course of my life. So, heck, probably a few thousand times for every decade of my life, so probably a thing. I don't know. Main point being is this. I tend to be very polite to other people, and I tend to be a very mild-mannered person. But I am so impatient and unforgiving toward myself, and then again, it's also impact of other things. I remember certain things when I was younger that there's a slight thing off, it was considered the end of the world sort of thing. So usually, if there's an impact of, hey, you're going to get yelled at for this thing very much and with lots of additional negative consequences involved, well, apparently that still holds over to where you kind of feel like you're going to be treated a certain way, even when you're by yourself. Then again, I also have the tendency to flinch when anyone raises an arm around me, though I try my best to hide that and pretend that doesn't exist and just make it to where other people don't notice that, because that feels embarrassing. That being said, I feel like at this point, if I get into any kind of relationship, I'm gonna probably need constant reassurance from that person that they don't hate me and that they would never hurt me, and just hugs and actual, yes, you are cared about. Yay! But I'm just saying, in general, I tend to be very not nice to myself. I tend to yell at myself a lot, and I tend to say very, very mean things. Heck, and I'll try to hide this from other people, because again, it's embarrassing. But if I feel frustrated, and it's the go-to thing that wants to pop out of my mouth is to basically tell myself to go kill myself. Which obviously I'm not going to do that, but obviously, it's not very nice to myself to yell at myself or say things like that. Or to, say very bad insults toward myself. But it's the thing, I won't treat other people like that. But yeah, so I don't know. But, I don't know. In general, let's see. Dominance. I don't know, I'm a very non-dominant person. I'm I don't know. In general, I tend to be a bit of a laid-back person. Introverted, and most people would probably describe me as very boring, and I tend to be low energy and just want to take a nap. I don't have charisma. I'm very good at ignoring my own feelings, I guess, and I'm polite. Okay, there's my personality. Yay! It is most often used in corporate settings, but can also use valuable in personal development, education, and therapy. How do personality tests work? Let's check music. Change music. Bright Sun. Now, how do personality tests work? Personality tests are often scored on a Likert scale. Okay, i.e., a linear set of responses with increasing or decreasing intensity of 5 choices, sometimes 4 if neutral option is omitted. They're similar to multiple choice answer quizzes you've seen in school, except there are no right or wrong answers. For example, they typically look like this: strongly agree +2, agree +1, neutral 0, disagree -1, strongly disagree -2, a Likert scale. Certain questions correspond to certain psychometric outcomes, so the highest scoring sections determine the strongest factors of your personality. You may have seen this format in surveys you've completed in school or at a grocery store. If you've been to see a psychologist, it's likely that you are already familiar with a questionnaire containing a Likert scale. Personality trait theories, such as the Big Five, aka 5-factor model, Ocean, Neo-Pi, are based on factors openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Traits theories use criterion testing, one consistency, stability, and individual differences. I don't know, I suppose like a main thing a psychology test would probably say to me is that I just need more hugs, I guess. Just, in general, I don't know. I need a general feeling of safety, self-worth, and feeling like I'm loved, wanted, and affection. And I lack all of those. So, probably not healthy. Okay, openness. I mean, in general in life, I'm not going to talk about this stuff because, well, why the fuck would I talk to other people about this stuff? One, it's personal. And two, why the fuck would anyone else care? At least here, it's just my channel. So, I can be open here. Because, you guys made the choice to, be here for some reason and listen to me for some reason. Whereas in real life, it'd be very rude and inconsiderate of me to be like, hey guys! And then I just pour out like a fucking tea kettle full of like emotional trauma and shit. Like I wouldn't be very... Whereas like you guys, it wouldn't be very polite to people in real life here. You guys know what you signed up for by clicking on this video. Conscientiousness. I don't know. You're gonna call that self-awareness? Because I am aware that I am very cringe. Extroversion. I lack that. Agreeableness. I tend to be very unless there's a big issue with something, I tend to just not rock the boat. Neuroticism. That eccentricities. I like anime. Does that count? Oh, well, now we have descriptions of these. Here are some general descriptions of the Big 5 factors. Openness, willingness to try new experiences. I'll try anything once and opens to different perspectives. Okay, I'll try new things, but at the same time, I don't like going outside my comfort zone. Like heck, just driving to the big city felt really not cool, but I was at least willing to do that. And I try to look at things from other people's perspectives. People of high openness are often creative and risk-taking. I feel like I'm neither of those things. They're definitely prone to having many, many, many hobbies and interests. I do have a lot of hobbies and interests. I'm just not good at any of them. Or have the ability to focus on them very long. Potential jack of all trades. Conscientiousness, orderliness, responsibility, and drive to complete tasks ahead of or on time. Well, when it comes to personal things I do, I tend to just do whatever the fuck I feel like doing. But when it comes to work at any job I do, I tend to be very much on task, and I tend to be very, very reliable. So, I guess the main thing is I don't like having to do things like that. But, it's, other people are relying on you, you do it. But when it comes to doing stuff myself, I'm doing it in a way that, I'm doing what I want for the sake of what I want. Whereas if you're doing something like a job, well, you have to do it a certain way because, you have a responsibility. Whereas there is no responsibility here. I'm just rambling to myself, which means I don't have to, punish and hurt myself by having some sort of fucking, way of talking in a coherent fashion. What I'm saying doesn't have to make sense. Because in real life, shit has to make sense because you have to, function in the world. Whereas here, it doesn't have to, because, it's not accomplishing anything. It's just me being myself, so I don't have to stress out about that. People high conscientiousness respect rules, plans, and schedules. I tend not to stick to my own, but I do tend to try to be mindful of others. They live their lives in order from head to toe. They're most likely the mom or dad of a group. Out of hand sanitizer restaurant, they've got extra handy. I'm unlikely to do that. Extroversion, liveliness, energy, and a general pull towards socialization and conversation skills with various people. So like the opposite of me. So it's like, this is just anti-lunar. People with high extroversion get a kick from making new connections and feel energized after being around people. When it comes to events and parties, they only have one requirement, the more the merrier. Agreeableness, the quality of pleasantness and cooperation. I tend to be very pleasant, easy to get along with, and cooperate. People with high agreeableness are kind, forgiving, trusting, and altruistic. True, but usually tends to stab me in the back. They're loyal peacemakers of a friendship group, and then everyone calls you a pussy for that. The ones people like and want to be friends with, that's questionable. Taken to an extreme, they can become a doormat, or be mistreated quite a bit, whatever. Okay. Neuroticism, tendency to worry or ruminate over events before, during, or after they happen. Oh, that's definitely a thing I do. Strongly correlates to anxiety and depression. Yeah, I can vouch for that. People with high neuroticism are hypervigilant and on edge. I've never smoked anything in my life, but I imagine this is a reason why it's a good thing I never smoked marijuana, because I feel like normal people have really bad paranoia on marijuana. I feel like I would probably be a lot worse than a normal person. However, they've got street smarts and situational. I mean, I can read a room and be aware of things, but it doesn't mean I have any control or impact on it. How's that for a survival buddy? Okay. So agreeableness is a handshake, openness is a light bulb, consciousness is like a gear in a machine, extroversion is a bunch of little text bubbles from a cell phone, and neuroticism is this fucking sad clouds that are raining. The Big Five personality traits. This book, however, investigates Jung's best fit personality type theory and greater F, particularly his 16 personality types and 8 cognitive functions. Let's try another music. This book, I already read that. A Jungian function is a prepackaged mental process by which people think, feel, sense, or intuit their actions. They come in a stack of 4 for each personality type, the strongest on top and the weakest on the bottom. We'll take a closer look at Jung's functions in Chapter 4. Here's like a picture of a person's silhouette going to a bunch of little pictures. Personality traits can be incredibly varied. Personality type theories bring these together in coherent packages. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates developed the theory of the 4 humors. To explain the building blocks of his personality theory, we'll examine extroverts, introverts, sensors, intuitives, thinkers, feelers, judges, and perceivers in greater detail. If this all sounds like gibberish now, you'll get the hang of it later. Pinky promise. Personality type theories emphasize the different type categories into which people can fall. Personality types can be thought of as prepackaged gifts that include a variety of traits and behaviors. For example, an introvert can come with general quietness, attention to detail, sensitivity to sound, and excellent listening skills. The categorization of different people according to their personality type is not a new concept. Back in 460 to 375 BCE, the Greek physician Hippocrates and his followers categorized people by the four humors. Seasons and elements. Several centuries later, another Greek physician, Galen of Pergamon, in 129 Common Era, built on these theories and equated each of the four humors with personality types shown in italics below. So we have blood, summer, air, sanguine. We have phlegm, spring, water, phlegmatic. Yellow, bile, autumn, fire, choleric. Black, bile, winter, earth, melancholic. Sanguine. Oh, there's like a picture here. Oh, and then there's stuff here about ectomorphs, mesomorphs, endomorphs, or as different body types. Sanguine loosely translates cheerful and social, phlegmatic with calm and peaceful, choleric with aggressive and competitive, and melancholic with detached and pessimistic. Let's see. I mean, I try to be cheerful and social, but I'm not. Calm and peaceful. I do tend to be very calm and peaceful. Aggressive and competitive. I am not aggressive and competitive. And detached and pessimistic. Yeah. But that's just, acknowledging reality? Or just, noticing patterns? And the pattern is me. Okay, and that when they were heavily imbalanced, various illnesses and disabilities would ensue. Back then, people believed that the color of their vomit would determine which of the four humors was overflowing. Now we know that what we eat in our diet can affect the color of our bodily fluid, but so too can certain health conditions. For example, scientists found that black bile only affects people who have chronic liver disease. Continue on with the topic of human bodies. William Herbert Sheldon proposed the theory of three body builds in relation to personality type. Ectomorphs, thin, reserved, who are introverted and highly sensitive. I mean, honestly, body type, I'm probably an endomorph, but, But yeah, the ectomorph thing sounds like me. Introverted and highly sensitive. See, powerful, competitive, and aggressive. Definitely not me. I'm not powerful, I'm not competitive, and I'm not aggressive. Endomorph. People are extroverted and relaxed with themselves. I'm very much introverted. And just tend to feel worthless, and also just right now I'm very tired because sleep deprivation, because, well, I work third shift, so in order to go places and drive places, I had to stay up awake during the day. So I should have already gotten to sleep. Heck, we are nearing the time where I should be getting up from a full day's sleep, which I didn't have. I did, however, have a good deal of caffeine, like 7 hours ago. And it's definitely worn off. Until at least the Middle Ages, it was believed that the balance between the four humors determined our personality and were responsible for our health. You may already be thinking, well, I know so, and they're loud and heck and super competitive and skinny. This other guy is ridiculously buff and goes to the gym every day. Yet they're so chill. Rest assured, body build, also known as somatype theory, has long since been debunked as pseudoscience. Yeah, I think there was a thing called phrenology at one point where they were trying to study the shape of the human skull or something affects something about a person. And I'm seeing a bunch of the ESTJ stuff there. So yeah. So I thought that was the Myers-Briggs test. Maybe that's a different thing. I don't know. Moving on, Carl Jung, the focus of this book, proposed 8 cognitive types. 1. Extroverted thinkers, ESTJs and ENTJs. Extroverted feelers, ESFJs. Extroverted sensors, ESTPs. Extroverted intuitives, ENFPs. Introverted thinkers, ISTPs. introverted feelers, ISFPs, introverted sensors, ISTJs, and introverted intuitives, INFJs. So I am an introverted intuitive, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is perhaps the rarest of all of these fucking types. I don't really remember much of the difference between, I think INFJ and INFJ is feeling or thinking, but honestly I think I'm both. I don't know. Don't really remember. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises, the path of life. We'll get more into Jung's 16 personality types as you read through the book. They all have their unique strengths, weaknesses, ideal career paths, and ways in which their intelligence shines. Have any questions about specific terms? Check out the glossary at the end. We've only covered a few of the many personality type theories that exist here, just the tip of the iceberg. There's still a whole fascinating world of psychological concepts for you to discover and learn. Welcome aboard the Personality Self-Discovery train. Hop on and prepare to discover the many colors of you. What better time to start learning about yourself than now? For your information, including this book, you'll find a deck of 52 cards that contain Jungian personality tests with a total of 28 questions. To score the test, have ready a sheet of paper with "I don't want to do all that." There are 28 questions total, and the entire test should take you around 5-10 minutes to complete. Feel free to take your time to read through and understand each question fully, answer truthfully, and try not to overthink your answers if you want to obtain the most accurate results. Remember, every personality type has its unique strengths and flaws. The cards also provide useful, everyday advice for each of the 16 personality types, potential career matches, and frequently asked questions. Share results with friends and colleagues if you like. You can also read up on your personality type in great detail in the latter half of this book, where there are many references to Jung's personality system. The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. Okay. Who was Carl Jung? Carl Gustav Jung, born 1875 to 1961, founding father of 16 personality types and legendary Swiss psychologist, was born in Kessville, Switzerland. He wrote the book Psychological Types in 1921. It has since skyrocketed in popularity in the workplace and has been used in many counseling programs. Jung, pronounced Young, sought to understand how different personality types interact with each other and ultimately how they affect society. He stated that no type was better or worse than another. All personalities have their respective strengths and weaknesses. We need people to be different, or else society is doomed to self-destruct and collapse. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Here's a picture of Carl Jung, a pioneer of personality psychology, the small Swiss town of Kessville, where Carl Jung grew up. It's a cool picture. I don't think it probably looks that way anymore. But then again, I've never been to Switzerland. Considered one of the founding fathers of personality psychology, Jung was an eccentric psychoanalyst and psychiatrist who worked best alone. Indeed, he spent most of his childhood isolated up until the age of 9, while he tinkered with his personal projects. His dreams were psychologically complex and vivid, some of which frightened him as a child and could now be classified as nightmares. These images that had defined his childhood slumbers became the foundation for his infamous archetypes later on. We'll get more into that later in the book. Carl Jung was 3 years old when his beloved mother, Emile, developed an unidentified mental illness that was severe enough for her to be temporarily admitted to a psychiatric ward. During this time, Jung made a greater connection with his father, Paul, a Protestant Christian minister of the Swiss Reformed Church, and saw him as a role model. Later, when he was 12, Jung was pushed to the ground by a schoolmate with such great force that he lost consciousness. Ouch. After the traumatic incident, he would sometimes faint seemingly randomly while walking home from school or completing homework. Jung would later on learn he had experienced a neurosis. Jung, from an early age, aspired to become a minister or priest, to follow in the footsteps of his father, like son. Not exactly. As he grew older, his spiritual approach and sole pursuit of God, without being shackled to the notions of state, religion, or church, gave him the courage to tackle what truth meant in his eyes. He had to figure out for himself. As he expanded his knowledge, he found many subjects to be fascinating, such as archaeology, paleontology, literature, and philosophy. His wide range of interests made his educational specialization particularly challenging. It can be tough to be a jack of all trades in a world that encourages you to focus on one thing professionally. After a long period of pondering, cue jazzy elevator music, he finally settled on attending the University of Basel to study science and medicine, while simultaneously investigating mystical matters on the side. After successfully completing his degree, he joined the... I don't have a clue how to pronounce that. I'm not a Bergoy Gulls. How do these letters combine into fucking things that are sounds that a human's supposed to make? Clinic in Switzerland as an intern. In 1905, Jung worked at the University of Zurich, where he remained as a faculty member until Lunar passes out. My eyes hurt. Until 1913. While there, he continued to. Jung studied science and medicine at the University of Basel. Carl Jung at the thing that no one can pronounce. Not even convinced is a real word. Carl Jung had a fraught relationship with the other great psychoanalyst of the era, Sigmund Freud. Picture of Sigmund Freud. Built upon complex and intricate personality theories he had expressed in his doctoral dissertation on the psychology and pathology of so-called occult phenomena, which he had written in 1902. In 1906, Jung sent a copy of his book Studies in World Association to Sigmund Freud, pronounced Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis. The same year, Jung also sent Freud his book, The Psychology of Dementia Praecox? I don't know. As an analysis of schizophrenia. It was too dense a read for a mainstream audience, but proved an intellectual treat to Freud, who then invited Jung to visit Vienna. The meeting took place in 1907. Jung finally decided to remain psychologically independent from Freud, as their theories, particularly Freud's role of sexuality in development, were too incompatible. Nevertheless, Jung proudly proclaimed Freud was the first man of real importance I had encountered. No one else could compare with him. In 1912, Jung published Psychology of the Unconscious, and ultimately steered away from Freud's more rules-heavy deductive explanations and supported a more mystical, intuitive approach. Jung believed the field of psychology to be highly complex and blurry instead of 1 + 1 = 2. Sorry, Freud, some friendships fizzle out naturally. Though I think both of these approaches are very important. Though I don't think I have a book, I don't think it's going to explain the Sigmund Freud psychology stuff. The two strikingly stubborn men reportedly had irreconcilable differences, which led to tension that eventually came to a head. Jung then proceeded to establish his concepts of archetypes, complexes, synchronicities, and the collective unconscious. These highly visual concepts show up frequently in his dream analysis, yet he used psychic symbols to decode his patients' dreams as a psychotherapist. Jung brought his theory of cognitive functions and types to light with the publication of his most famous work, Psychological Types. Originally written and published in German in 1921, newer personality assessments such as Cantel's 16PF and the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, MMPI, borrow ideas from Jung's psychoanalytic theories in their trait descriptions. He emphasized the alchemy of one personality, how it can be transformed, energized, or diminished. Bunch of cool pictures. Carl Jung emphasized how personalities could change and transform in a process he likened to alchemy. Jung found inspiration from Eastern philosophies and religions like Taoism that helped him develop a unique approach. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Jung's ultimate goal is to fulfill the wholeness of the human psyche and for each individual to truly understand thyself, to dig into what makes you, you. According to Jung, this is the one true key to growth and self-actualization. He suggested that many people were terrified of digging into the darker parts of their true selves and would rather live blind to their flaws than face them. How could someone reach their potential like that? His work was highly acclaimed by notable figures in both science and the humanities, such as psychologist Erich Fromm, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, and theoretical physicist Wolfgang Pauli. He eventually established his name in his field and joined the General Medical Society for Psychotherapy, and became president in 1933. Jung's influences from Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Taoism, yoga, and Western faith, Christianity, deism, solipsism, bring forth a unique perspective that is studied by scholars, students, and critics to this day. The 4 scales of the 16 personality types. Okay. Over here we have like a red and a yellow. It kind of reminds me of the way you would design like the thing for a magnet. But you have extroverts versus introverts. You have intuition versus sensing. You have feeling, thinking, and perceiving and judging. Okay. Jung's functions translate to 4 scales that make up 16 total personality types, which will be discussed in the next chapter. If you already know your 4-letter best fit type, feel free to skip to chapter 5 and look for the sub-chapter containing your personality type. Otherwise, this chapter is a great place to start learning about the fundamental of Jung's personality typing system. You know what? We'll do that in a moment. Like, I always lose the... Where's the pin? Why is it so hard for me to keep pins? Trying to look around, see if I see a pin anywhere. Like I'm always having to find another pin. Ow, my back. Just need something to write with. One moment. Okay, I'm back. I'm fucking exhausted. Got a pen. Got a drink. You guys ever hear of liquid death? It's like carbonated water. It's got... this is orange flavor. It's got 10 calories. 2 grams of sugar. It's carbonated water, agave nectar, citric acid, natural flavors of orange, tangerine, blood orange, and stevia leaf extract. It's from Los Angeles, California. That's better. And I got stuff to write, so... Heck, you know what? I don't know if I already did the one to switch to sign of T. You know what? Google. Let's see. Online quiz. Borderline personality. Let's just take a quiz for that. Okay. Okay, so how do I... We've already done the... I don't know if it was Psych Central, but I mean, we've done autism quizzes and ADHD quizzes, which, you know... And the depression one, which apparently, you know... I fucking pass all of those. There's also a thing about various personality disorders. I don't know. Let's do this one first. Do you have BPD? The quiz cannot provide you a diagnosis. It can just help you learn more about your symptoms. Or something you just do for a YouTube video, I guess. Do you experience quick and intense changes in mood? Yeah, it's like rarely, sometimes or often, but I can actually hide it very well. Because, obviously, one, that wouldn't be very sociably well, and two, well, you have to have some self-control, otherwise you might, you know, hurt somebody's feelings. Do you experience feelings of emptiness? All the fucking time, except for when I'm, you know, the opposite of that. Okay? Tense anger or difficult controlling anger. I mean, I feel the anger thing, but I don't really express it unless I'm by myself, which then is just lots of yelling at myself or catatonically just sort of laying down and just not wanting to function as a human being anymore. So we'll just go often, okay? Do you experience feelings of dissociation? That's just called being an adult. Do you have a pattern of unstable relationships? I mean, yes, but that's not my fault. I'm generally not somebody anyone cares about, and I'm pretty sure I've been rejected by 10,000 people IRL, and every girlfriend, even every wife I've ever had, have all cheated on me and not exactly been the best of people. So, but that's not my fault that I'm ugly as fuck and poor. Main point is this. Yes, I acknowledge that I am lacking anything that other people would value in a human being, apparently. You know, being antisociable, poor, and literally the embodiment of Cthulhu apparently don't really bode well to actively, you know, dating. I'm either invisible or people notice me and are just disgusted by my existence. So technically, but then again, most of my life has been in abject isolation. Heck, I've been completely alone since my divorce, which is I'm not even sure how long ago it was anymore. It's been a really long time. Heck, I didn't even have my first actual kiss until I was past American drinking age. Like, majority of my life has been in isolation and loneliness. But I mean, hey, I talk to myself, so maybe that takes... I mean, talking to yourself works really well for Let's Plays. Beyond that, I mean... I will say this. The loneliest I ever was when I was married. Like, my marriage was the loneliest I ever was in my life. Heck, I would rather be completely alone than ever be with someone like my ex-wife ever again. Heck, in general, my relationships, my experiences with women have been so bad that I am just going to be gay. It's a benefit of being bisexual. You can just choose the other path. No, don't be wrong. I don't hate women. I don't wish any bad. It's just, I just don't see any way I could have any kind of relationship with a woman that won't cause me more suffering. Like, I don't see any possible way of success for that to not, wind up just being awful. And even then, like, lately, like going out to, like, get Christmas presents for people. It's just... That was so fucking exhausting. Not just was it stressful to drive there, and obviously, yes, I'm a bit sleep deprived, and I'd probably just go to bed when I got home, but it's like, just being outside around, like, on the one hand, yes, I would like people to talk to, and I would like hugs and affection, but also I tend to be very, like I said, hyper-vigilant, paranoid, and just generally feel like anyone I interact with out there is not really going to want to interact with me, or it's more so just... Main point is this. Do you have a pattern of unstable relationships? And it says no, sometimes yes. Technically, yes. Like, most of my life is either complete isolation and loneliness, or I somehow get in a relationship where the partner cheats on me and is an abusive psychopath. So, great. But I think that's more so just lack of options on my part due to me just not having value as a human being. So, yeah. So, technically I have a pattern of unstable relationships, but that's mostly predicated on me being worthless and disgusting. So, yeah. But I guess technically that's yes. Do you engage in impulsive spending, substance misuse, reckless driving? Well, no. I am actually very controlled on my spending. Heck, the only things I spend money on, aside from bills, is like some video games, fast food, and occasionally stuff like getting Christmas presents for people. And I drive very safe, if not extremely safe, and I've never done any illegal drugs in my life, and I've never smoked anything in my life. And while I have a very addictive personality, I'm pretty sure, soda, caffeine, and candy, and Pizza Hut, and anime do not count as an addiction. So we're going to go with no. Do you have a history of self-harm or suicidal thoughts attempts? Well, I mean, I've never attempted to kill myself, and I never would. But I think about the stuff. Then again, I mean, I've probably thought about that stuff like every day since I was like 7 years old. But, everybody does. So, I'll just go yes. Do you struggle with fear of abandonment? You mean fear of reality? Yes, I do struggle with the fear of reality. Okay, let's... Severe symptoms of BPD. Based on your responses, you appear to be experiencing a high number of symptoms associated with borderline personality disorder. It's important to remember this quiz is not a substitute for professional diagnosis. Consider reaching out to a mental health provider where they can tell you to go fuck yourself, who can provide a comprehensive evaluation, discuss potential treatment options to help you manage these symptoms and improve your quality of life. Isn't that what Let's Plays are for? I'm doing a let's play. So doesn't that make everything that? Okay, let's see. Borderline personality can affect every aspect of a person's life because it affects how someone views themselves and behaves around other people. Common symptoms of BPD include unstable self-image, distorted perception of relationships, and challenging regulating emotions, behaviors. 1 of 10 personality disorders. Living off symptoms become challenging, but with the right treatment plan, you can reduce symptoms, blah, 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 blah. Course 4. Brief time, questionnaire, experience, statement below, help, something, 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 something. Okay, so... Okay, there's stuff here. Okay, what are the 9 criteria of BPD? Viewing... My nose is stuffy. Hold on, I'm gonna blow my nose right into the fucking microphone. Okay, there are 9 criteria symptoms of BPD. To be diagnosed with BPD, you must display at least 5 of the following symptoms. Viewing relationships in extremes. Everything is either all good or all bad. Challenges controlling anger. Frequent mood changes, intense anger, depression, anxiety, recurrent suicidal ideation, chronic feelings of emptiness, acting impulsive at least 2 ways that can be potentially harmful. Paranoia, dissociation, which often are brief, related times of extreme stress. Lack of sense of self, e.g. a dramatic shift in big aspects of your career, life goals, value. Fear of abandonment. I mean, technically, isn't that just the description of a modern human being? So, okay, so I'm normal, because everyone has BPD then. If you think you have BPD, healthcare, then they'll just some sort of... Okay, why is there a link on psychological value? I don't know. Maybe we'll click it. Can I self? No, only healthcare person can do stuff. What can trigger? There's no single cause. Stuff. Genetics. Environment. Let's see. Genetics includes genes. Environmental triggers, including experienced childhood trauma. Your brain, abnormal brain structures. Chemicals, changes in neurotransmitter levels in your brain, especially serotonin, may be involved. What is high function in BPD? Hey, look, an ad! If you have high function BPD, a quiet BPD, you may try to hide your symptoms from others. You may direct your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors inward rather than outward so others can't see them. Quiet BPD isn't an official clinical diagnosis, but is instead considered a subtype of BPD. Okay, let's click on this. Unofficial term, engage symptoms inwardly instead of outwardly. You know, that's called maturity. Means you often direct thoughts inward, outward stuff. May result in intense, turbulent thoughts, emotional behaviors, characters, try to hide them from others. Heck, technically that word's called masking in terms of hiding autistic symptoms, because, you realize behaving in an autistic way apparently makes you look weird to people, and then people don't want to be a friend. And then it's sad. Mental health affects 1.6% of population, characterized by instability in moods and behaviors. There's less stigma. Therapists believed it was untreatable. So they believed clouds existed. Okay. They believed in reality. However, nowadays, the effective therapies, remission, no longer something, quiet something, suggested, subtype. This subtype is often hard to spot. If you have quiet BPD, you direct moods and behaviors inward so other people don't see. Your emotions and behaviors may feel like a roller coaster with many ups and downs. We have difficulty in relationships due to fear of abandonment. Again, that's just acknowledging fucking reality. And what is my level of self-worth? Simple. I can look in a mirror or just evaluate I don't know, my bank account? Or how much I could fucking bench? Or how hard it is to look back and try to remember the last time I actually had a hug. I'm drawing a blank. If you have quiet BPD, you may have low self-esteem and often feel angry, depressed, or anxious. In addition, you may have a history of self-harm, suicidal thoughts, or both. With quiet BPD, you may also feel guilt or shame. As a result, you engage in self-destructive behaviors, trying to hide your feelings from others. Strong emotions could lead to harmful behaviors like self-harm or substance abuse. Note, under control, emotional regulation, hallmark, quiet BPD is over-control. People with any type BPD, same internal dysregulation and turmoil, but folks with quiet are masterful at masking their pain, so they may appear cold, distant, or aloof as a result. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition. Hey, which edition of Dungeons & Dragons do you think? I think 3.5 is the best one. Lists 9 criteria as symptoms of borderline personality disorder. Avoiding abandonment, whether real or imagined. 1, it's real. 2, that's, again, just called reality. Intense, unstable interpersonal relationships. I mean, true, but I don't really feel like I can do anything about that. A disturbance of identity, which results in an unstable self-image or sense of self. Impulsive behaviors in at least 2 areas that are self-damaging, such as spending money, sex, substance abuse, driving, or binge eating. Recurrent suicidal behaviors or threats of self-harm, instability or mood, reactive mood, chronic feelings of emptiness, inappropriate intense anger or difficulty controlling anger, stress-related paranoia, paranoid ideation, or severe dissociative symptoms that are temporary. While these symptoms are common, quiet BPD manifests differently. With quiet BPD, you'll likely try to hide these symptoms from others, resulting in intense periods of anger, guilt, or shame directed toward yourself. You may hide impulsive behaviors or try to repress your moods. You might also withdraw or isolate from others. Quiet BPD can take a toll on interpersonal relationships as you try to hide symptoms. It can also be challenging to maintain relationships due to extreme emotions and instability of moods and behaviors. You may fear rejection from others or become extremely sensitive to perceived criticisms. You might worry that everyone will leave you, and this can plummet your self-esteem. Within interpersonal relationships, sometimes you push people away, and sometimes you pull them closer. Sometimes you want people close. Other times you fear criticism or rejection so much you push them away. BPD is commonly diagnosed in adults, but occasionally it can be diagnosed before age 18. In these cases, you have symptoms at least a year to be diagnosed. BPD is something. Dialectic behavioral therapy. It was developed psychologist something. This dude, Marshall Leon. This form of therapy teaches to live and cope with different interpersonal effectiveness, emotional regulation, distress tolerance, mindfulness, stuff. Okay. It's often misunderstood condition. Reduce stigma around this complex condition. It's important to separate the myths from the facts. Obviously, I don't have BPD. But, according to the internet, I have very, very high BPD, very high autism, very high ADHD, and very extreme depression. So, I think... Do I get a bingo? Do I get a free Subway sub? I mean, I got this drink. which doesn't have any caffeine in it. Heck, I got an alarm on my phone that's probably going to go off at some point soon. Because I have it set for every day. You know, today's my day off. Okay. Okay, myth. Just another name for schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. No, 100% not. Okay. Well, note some symptoms such as mood variation occurred in different areas. Overlap, adulthood condition, something. Can't live full or around life, you can't make good relationships. History. Okay, so click on the back button. We'll scroll up here, scroll up. Let's click on the word that was psychological evaluation. Okay. Okay, common components of an assessment include psychological tests, surveys and tests, interviews, observational data, medical and school history, medical evaluation. Psychological evaluations, these include the American Psychiatric Association points out, or APA, points out several signs and symptoms that may be indication of psychological evaluation might be needed. These include the following: changes in mood, nervousness, social withdrawal, changes in your sleep or eating habits, difficult to concentrate until performing your tasks, a lack of interest in activities you previously enjoyed, test assessment, stuff, saying things, Okay. You know what? Psychopathy test. Learn more about psychopathy. Let's see if I'm a fucking psychopath, guys. There's probably a test somewhere or something. I don't know. There's no test. It's listing a bunch of things. Don't want to read all this. Says the person who's going to read a 128-page book. That you still need to do, by the way. We've taken a break from reading the one thing to read other thing. I'm sorry. Person suffering psychopathy is different. Something that mental health might typically diagnose. Antisocial personality disorder. Someone with this kind of personality disorder typically experiences 4 or more of the following symptoms: failure to conform to social norms. And I actually do pretty good at that. Deceitfulness, I suck at that, except when it comes to hiding my feelings. Impulsivity, I tend to be very not impulsive. Irritability and aggressiveness. I mean, I'm not aggressive, but I do tend to be very, sad, I guess. Reckless disregard of other people. I don't do that at all. Consistent irresponsibility. I'm very responsible. I have so much remorse. I really tend to be overly empathetic. Okay, understand human behavior, control, guilt. Let's see, guilt. I don't do that. Reverse psychology. Something. Manipulation. So what is types of manipulation? An umbrella term. Techniques involves clearly deceptively influencing, controlling somebody, often at their expense, using tactics like persuasion, deception, coercion. I can't do any of that. Paltering is a deceptive tactic where someone tells the truth but conceals important information, creating false, misleading impression. Well, I can't do that either. Gaslighting. Manipulation, form, doubt. Most of this sounds like things other people have done to me. Backstabbing, triangulation, manipulation of a person involves third party, exploitation, guilt tripping, reverse psychology, love bombing. Hey, that's technically how most of my relationships started, with me getting a lot of love bombing. Which, I'll be honest, was really nice. I really liked that. It's probably why that stuff's effective, especially on a person who's, not used to that sort of thing. Then again, I've never met anyone in my life who actually thought I was attractive, and whoever did say I was attractive, well, they eventually told me they had just been lying about it. Now, were they always lying about it, or were they just lying about saying they were lying about it just to be mean to me? Both of those things still hurt my feelings. Love bombing is a manipulative tactic used to gain someone's affection or trust by overwhelming them with attention, compliments, and praise. Which, I'll be honest, feels nice. I mean, obviously there's a reason it works, but I'm just saying, somebody who's used to being alone or feeling worthless or unwanted, suddenly getting a lot of love bombing, it feels nice. Though, obviously then when it's either withdrawn or replaced with lots of verbal abuse, and, well, then there's kind of made me feel sad. This creates a strong emotional bond that can be used to manipulate or control the person. For example, in a romantic relationship, a person might use love bomb to quickly win over their partner by showering them with gifts or affection. This intense display of affection can make the target feel special and loved, but it's often done with the intention of gaining control over them. Negging is manipulative tactic in dating. Social interaction that undermines someone's confidence, making them seek validation or approval of the other person uses a tactic, often backhanded compliments, mild insults, disguised. Why does this sound like every fucking interaction I've ever had with anyone? It's like, hey, good news, Lunar. You're not a psychopath. Bad news, everyone you've ever dated, or generally how a lot of people treated you, were. It's like one time I went to the hospital when I had the meningitis encephalitis thing, which is, swelling of the brain and swelling of the spine. I thought I was having a heart attack, and then eventually I was a doctor, and they're like, yeah, good news, you're not having a heart attack. Bad news. Swelling the brain and swallow. I spent 3 days in the ICU getting pumped full of chemicals to prevent me from dying. Because apparently I've never tried to end myself, but apparently genetics keeps trying to do that. Though technically, I found out years later that was caused by my ex-wife as well. That me getting the meningitis encephalitis was caused by her. So, but I didn't find out about that till after I was divorced. But hey, these traits can be found in various people, including abusers, criminals, people with personality disorders, and those neurotic traits. I mean, I have the last two. I'm definitely the neurotic thing, and I guess, does autism count as a personality disorder? I don't know. Not the first two, though. Some people often experience a high level of emotional distress, anxiety, or moods. I mean, I do that stuff. Okay, so... Dark psychology involves using psychological principles to manipulate, influence, or control people in harmful ways. Okay, so I lack that. Those with traits like Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism are more likely to use these tactics. If you suspect someone might be using these tactics against you, take steps to protect yourself, educate yourself about manipulation, establish clear boundaries, and trust your instincts in relationships and interactions. So the results of the psychopathy test is I'm not a psychopath. But I've apparently interacted with a lot of them in my past. And let's click on the personality disorder thing. Is there a quiz here? It's like I'm losing ability to focus. I don't really feel like paying attention to anything anymore. It's like so many segments of this. At least I have physical things to look at on the screen for you. You guys are just like listening to me ramble. Then again, no one would have actually kept listening this long. Mental health conditions that involve personality traits that cause great distress impact your self-concept, relationships, and how you navigate the world are known as personality disorders. You are unique, and this, no doubt, is mostly to your merit. But it's also a result of where you've been and what you experienced and who you've experienced it with. This unique character, which comes a combination of external factors, behaviors, thoughts, and emotions, makes up your personality. It embraces how you, as an individual, see and relate to yourself and others. Sometimes some of these behaviors, thoughts, emotions cause you a great deal of distress that negatively impact the way you function in the world. When this happens for a long time and repeatedly, mental health professionals call it a personality disorder. What are personality disorders? Form mental health conditions each with a list of formal symptoms that involve behaviors, thoughts, emotions, impact your quality of life. With personality disorders, you typically experience emotions and thoughts that diminish your ability to face and adapt to stress, connect to bond with others, effectively problem solve. For example, if you have symptoms of personality disorder, your reaction to losing a job might be blaming your coworkers, dismissal, and getting in a fight with your boss. You might not realize some of your behaviors might have led you to face difficulties. Now, it's true that some people are living the disorder that may be distraction, being angry, emotional, and paranoid at times, but if you cope with stress in a similar way, the trains caught in doing the problems of your life, and mental health professional actively diagnose. People with personalities experience difficulty responding to man's life, relationship, work, performance, views of the world, inner experiences, This isn't a personal choice. Personality disorder is a result of many factors that have influenced your life, including genetic inheritance, biological process, learning development, cultural experiences, traumatic situations, childhood relationships. There is no one cause for personality disorders, and it is not clear why not everyone reacts the same way to the same external and internal factors. This is why experts believe it might be a specific combination of all the above. Characteristics of personality disorders. Although an online personality disorder quiz may give you hints, only a trained mental health professional can make a proper diagnosis of a personality disorder. Due to this, you'll establish criteria, diagnostic, and statistical manual of mental disorders, 5th edition, text revision DSM-5TR. This handbook contains definitions, symptoms, and diagnostic criteria for most mental health conditions. In sum, if these requirements are met, a mental health professional will move to diagnose a personality disorder. Since there are 10 of them, diagnosis will not be the same for everyone. It depends on the specific impairment, personality traits that may be impacting your life. So One, impairments. These difficulties experience how you see and relate to yourself, identity, and self-esteem, and how you connect to other people, intimacy. In other words, this refers to recurrent thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that might be hurtful to yourself and others. 2. Pathological personality traits. These are traits that once again make it difficult for you to interact with others or adapt to change. They may be traits that are not expected or accepted in your culture. 3. Duration and flexibility. To be considered personality disorder, these impairments of pathological personality traits must be stable, inflexible, and consistent throughout your life. In other words, you've experienced these difficulties and responses for a long time and repeatedly across different situations. 4. Independent of culture or developmental stage. This means the specific behaviors and thoughts your therapist look for can't be explained by your cultural customs or by the capabilities and needs of your age. For example, an impulsivity trait in adolescence is almost expected in some circumstances, but if you're late 40s, this impulsivity might be assessed differently. Not related to external factors, mental health professional will make sure that behaviors, emotions, and thoughts are a result of substance. You may take in a general medicine condition, you injury, stuff. Types of personality disorders, clusters, type 10. The 10 personality disorders are classified in 3 clusters based on the most representative emotional responses and behaviors. Cluster A, personality disorders share odd and eccentric features. Cluster B, personality disorders share dramatic, emotional, and erratic features. Cluster C, personality disorders shares fearful and anxious features. Cluster A, personality disorders. I feel like my nose is all stuffy again. I'm going to blow my nose into the microphone again. Okay, I'm going to take the headset off actually. I'm back, guys. Maybe I should just like drink some hot sauce or something. Okay, those with cluster A personality disorders have difficulty relating to other people and often behave in a way that others might consider odd or eccentric. Paranoid personality disorder. People with paranoid personality usually interpret other people's behaviors as menacing or judgmental, even when this is not intended by others. If you have this personality disorder, you'll tend to perceive others around you as being deceitful, patronizing, or mean towards you. This might make you feel untrusting and angry all the time, leading you to have destructive outbursts and avoid developing close relationships. Others may perceive you as emotionally detached. Is that just the word for stoicism? Schizotypal personality disorder. Schizotypal personality may lead you to feel very anxious in social situations and uncomfortable and awkward in close relationships. It may also be that you have an eccentric way of dressing, speaking, and others may find you peculiar. People with this personality disorder often have paranoid ideas, odd beliefs, distorted perception. For example, you may feel you can read other people's minds, see into the future, or have close relationships with beings from another planet. You may also dislike talking with other people and often talk to yourself. I mean, I kind of feel like we that's a bit of a gap there. Like, okay, I can't read people's minds or see the future or ride fucking ships with space aliens, but, you know, I do feel anxious talking to other people, and I do talk to myself. So, but I kind of feel like it's like asking, hey, have you ever done heroin or had a cup of tea? It's like, hey, have you ever stolen the Eiffel Tower or ate a spoonful of sugar? Like, I feel like that's very odd either or statement. Those diagnosed with schizoid personality may appear shy, withdrawn, distant, not socially responsive, disinterested in others. That's just called being an introvert. For this person, you may find yourself absorbed daydreaming, fantasizing a lot. That's called being an introvert. These fantasies may interest you than what they actually happen around you. You also have to withdraw from lack of interest in other people, including close relatives. Well, one, I don't have the energy for any of that anymore. Two, other people don't exist. So, yeah, not my fault there. Cluster B disorder, usually evidence to control your emotions. Tendency. Narcissistic personality. Most typical symptoms of narcissism are inflated sense of self-importance. Nope, don't have that. Constant need for attention and praise. It's not that I have a constant need for it, it's the fact that I have a complete lack of it. And lack of empathy toward others. I have way too much empathy. In fact, I've been criticized for having too much empathy. So apparently I am the opposite of whatever a narcissist is. Which I don't know what that is. What's the word? No, pseudonym's another word for antonym? Synonym? Antonym? So, what's the antonym of a narcissist? Like, what's the opposite of a narcissist? Because apparently that's what I am. Let's try asking the internet. What? Okay, type, please. Nope. What do you mean, what is the opposite of blue? Why is that the autocomplete? Okay, yeah, what is the opposite of a narcissist? An empath. Okay, so apparently I'm an empath. Okay. Doesn't fucking help me. Not that any of this does, but it's like... okay. Antisocial personality disorder. Not realizing how you're blaming others for having your life constantly. Nope, that's not me either. Borderline personality disorder. You may experience constant intense fluctuation. Okay, that's a thing. These changes impact the way you feel about yourself. Okay, that's again, but I also think others black and white terms. For them, we might think someone is a perfect day and not associated with reluctance, feel disappointed. Okay. That, I mean, histrionic? What? Need to be center of attention. That'd be overwhelming. Let's see. Usually live with strong feelings of anxiety, doubt, and fear. I mean, let's see. Obsessive compulsive. I'm pretty sure I'm not OCD. Someone is not aware of the behavior. Likely. So. I mean, if I was OCD, I would know. So, strive perfection all aspects of life and find talk yourself taking more time and stuff. But in regard to reliable, tidy, high dependable, impulsive, flexible, stubborn, and strict. This is because you usually have a hard time adapting to change or changing opinions. You may also time to decision and complete tasks daily because you want everything perfect. You want to control the situation. Dependent personality disorder. Someone with dependent personality may tend to act submissive, letting other people assume control of their lives. It's a strong need to rotate here. Avoidant personality disorder. Just extremely fearful rejection, abandonment. This could lead to almost social activity. But this person is obscure, avoiding the others silly. Sometimes you have interact with others. Okay, that one. This one kind of I can agree with. Okay. Okay. Right, we were going to do a thing with these little quiz things, which is wrapped in plastic. Oh, my car keys are over here. Let me use this to open this. Okay, car keys are not a knife, apparently. Give me a moment. It worked. Okay. These things are numbered and obviously already in a certain order because, you know, I guess professionalism, I guess. Okay, oh my god, it's so fucking many. 52 to be precise. Okay. Flashcard 1. How to do the Jungian personality test. Have ready a sheet of paper with numbers labeled in ascending order from 1 to 28. Work through the question cards in correct order. Answer writing down A or B. Your answers should mostly be intuitive. You know yourself best. Do I? Do I? Where's the pen? Now I gotta write down. Give me a moment, I gotta write down numbers. Are you kidding me? There's only 26 lines. Okay, well at least we're only writing a letter next to each one, so we'll just write over here in the top middle 27 and 28. But that looks weird. It's not even. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, there are 28 questions in total, and the test should take you around 5-10 minutes to complete. Oh, I feel like we're going to take a lot longer on that. Whoever made this did not have Lunar in mind. That said, feel free to take your time to read and reread and understand each question fully. There are no right or wrong answers, unless you're Lunar, at which point everything you say is fucking wrong. So be honest. Important note, try not to overthink your answers. Select the choice that describes you more often. If you're unsure or confused, go ahead and ask a friend or two. That's... Again, they did not... They were not thinking of me when they made this test. Okay, how to score your test and determine personality types, results. And like I said, I'm pretty sure INFJ. Okay, write the capital letter that responds to A or B next to each question. In the four... What? Okay. Okay, so questions 1 through A's. This is so fucking much. The letter that you get most often in each of the 4 categories. Okay. Okay. I feel confused. I mean, I would like to blame my sleep deprivation, but I feel like even if I was like fully awakened, I would still be like, what the fuck? Okay. Okay. For example, personality type ESTJ corresponds to high scores, whereas the opposite personality type. Though I think I could either be an INFP or INTP. Okay. Basic description of Jung's 8 functions. Introverted. Oh my god. Extroverted sensing. Recalling. Remembering past details, comparing them present. Extroverted sensing. Soaking in each moment using all 5 senses. Introverted intuition, picturing the future, and how it looked from the inside out. Extroverted intuition. Brainstorming. Envisioning. Coming as many possibilities of the future for numerous projects all at once. Introverted thinking, understanding, gathering data and theories to formulate a complete idea of a concept. Extroverted thinking, evaluating, organizing workday through schedules, and tasks to maximize efficiency. Introverted feeling, internalizing, understanding internal feelings to achieve value, congruence, and authenticity with actions. Extroverted feeling, harmonizing with other people to feel a warm togetherness. My attention span is like fuck this. Okay, we're finally to the questions, guys. Question 1. After a long day of work, what do you do? A. Go home as soon as possible and rest or catch up on your favorite TV series. B. Call up a friend and grab drinks, maybe hit up a club for the night. Okay, that's definitely an A, but then again, is that just because I don't have friends? No. I'm pretty sure even if I had friends... Heck, I'm pretty sure even if there was like a big titty futa who fucking loved me, I would still be like, I just want to go to sleep or play a video game. So, or read a book or go walk on a... Don't get me wrong, I'd still want whoever I date to, like, whether it be, you know, a futa, twink, whoever. I'd want them to walk on a bike trail with me sometimes. But initially, I feel like my core response after getting off work will be, I want to go take a shower, and then I want to go walk on the bike trail by myself. Or I just want to listen to some music. I just want to like lay in bed and listen to fucking nightcore music. Like Five Nights at Freddy's nightcore music. Okay, so definitely A all the way. Okay, B, at a party. Well, 2, at a party, who do you gravitate towards? A, friends who I already know in hopes they might introduce me new people to me. B, just about anyone I love meeting and connecting. Is... 1, why am I at the party? Say why am I at the party? It doesn't sound like something I would do. 2, why do you think I would even gravitate to my friends? Why wouldn't I just go off somewhere by myself? But I guess the closest out of these answers would be A. Okay. What is your mind buzzing with? A sort of continual daydream that's a lot going up there in the silence. Social media posts, latest trends, Sony videos. Okay, definitely A. 4, are you more reserved around strangers? I didn't keep myself outspoken around it. Okay, definitely A. 6, where would you prefer to settle down? The countryside with lots of nature, peace, and quiet. Oh my god, I hate the city. It's like, would you rather settle down in the countryside with lots of nature, peace, and quiet, or in the city with tons of energy, events, and people? A. Absolutely A. When faced with a complex problem, what do? Isolate myself and take time to deeply think it through before emerging with solutions. Discuss my concerns with friends, family, boss, the subject matter. Okay, that's definitely A. 7, to keep in touch with your friends, do you prefer to text, email? Okay, that's an A. How do you memorize a set of facts and periodic table elements? Perfect chronological order. mean, this one's kind of odd. I mean, it's been such a long time since I did that. I don't know, I tend to just jump to different groups. So it'd probably be B. Okay, do you remember names or faces names? I think in terms of faces, I think in terms of pictures, symbols. Huh. 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 Like B? When you speak, do you tend to be blunt, speak literally, get to the point, use colorful analogies and metaphors, prove a point? Again, this is another toss-up, but if I had to pick one? B? Okay, how do you go about working with a recipe? Follow the ingredients list exactly, instructions, step by step, close as possible. Okay. It's B. What do you talk about more during conflict? Past, present, what is... It's B. Quick, think of an apple. What words come to mind? Red, green, brown, crisp, sweet, or one day keeps the doctor away. When recalling an event, do you remember... Details, timelines, what you ate, who was there, the experience went. I mean, technically, again, I feel like both of these equally, but probably B. Before deciding on a subject to study at a higher education level, what did you do? Consider my own strengths, interests, decide accordingly, maybe in pursuant. It's going how campus looked. I don't know, we'll go with B for that. You know, what are your favorite subjects in school? I don't know. I'm just kind of bored of this. Okay, let's just... Yeah. There's things in the different personality types. That was, if I remember right, I'm IFJ. Master empathizer naturally interested in human psychology. Is less in tune with their own emotions as they can soak in the atmosphere and vibes of a room. They often excel in both the arts and sciences, highly empathic. Peaceful, deep thinkers feel there's hidden logic. Tendency to door slam people they've felt betrayed by. Perfectionistic, many additional walls. Advice: instead of overthinking, reach out, be a trusted friend. Journalists, be kind to yourself. Set boundaries to keep your mental and physical health in check. Where am I into? I don't even know anymore. Or INFP, individually is less outwardly flashy, morally focused with daydreams, visions running through the mind's constantly through. They appear outwardly calm, prone to self-deprecation. I don't know, here's more personality stuff. It's still going. Stuff. Get bored. We didn't even get through all the music, guys. I want to listen to all the music. Listen to the rest of this book. Stuff on stuff. Person, drivers, passengers, stuff. Okay, what about? Okay. And there's stuff with the 12 Jungian archetypes, divided into 4 main groups: order, freedom, social, and ego. There's explorer, innocent, sage, hero, magician, outlaw, jester, lover, member, caregiver, creator, ruler. The person repeatedly sets an explorer in their dream. As a teenager, called chances off-road, individual stuff. Well, it's Myers-Briggs type indicator. So how does that figure into anything? I don't remember. Artisan, rational, guardian, idealist, keystone color. Oh, peace, and blah blah blah. Okay. just sort of I don't know, bored and I'm tired. How else we'll go through these things a little bit, so heck. You guys want maybe some point we'll come back through and just listen to the music, I guess. I like the music. I'm tired. Like I said, I like these songs. I like the music. It's just I'll come back to it. Just I'm tired. See how it goes behind the handle of the hatchet? Anyway, there's a bunch of other songs here, guys. I don't feel like listening to all of it right now. So, Nipa! Okay, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. It's been 2 hours of me wasting your time and disappointing everyone. So, welcome to your typical Lunar D8 experience. Bye.